Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. We're zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is, how do I reduce the anger that I have towards someone who has been manipulative, toxic, and downright cruel and unfair to me? That's a great viewer question because anger is a very strong and powerful emotion. It is one of the emotions that rises up quickly, meaning it comes to the surface of your awareness, and then immediately there is a propensity to want to stay in that heightened arousal state, the fight or flight, that sort of anxiety, fear, trepidation, that anxiousness, that stress. And so, for example, that's why, a lot of the headlines read about the negativity, the storms, the this, the that. Anything that has that negativity tends to arouse emotions more quickly, and people come together, and you get everything from the heated debates to the yelling to the throwing to the the back and forth, the controversies, the debates over that which is negative. And it's sort of, the people who are manipulative tend to prey upon that emotion and push that trigger button again and again and again until you put a stop to it, until you recognize sort of what anger and fear and how that rises the emotions very quickly. So you need to temper and tone that down. Does that make sense? And to realize that, to what degree is this just an autonomic nervous system or reaction taking place within you? So if you think about your reflexes, when you go to the doctor and they test your reflexes, hit you under the knee, and your knee kicks, that is known as a reflex. Anger is often, it brews and brews and brews and builds up. And then when it gets to that tipping point, when it's toxic, when you've had enough, it gets to that breaking point, that tipping point, and then you're expressing the anger, and then it's staying in that state. It becomes an addictive, hyper-arousal state, but it's very unpleasant to live in for an extended period of time. Not only is it unpleasant, but it is unhealthy. So there is legitimate anger, M. Scott Peck, okay, and there becomes just a propensity where it becomes the foundation of anger, frustration, stress. This all builds up, and then it can become an autonomic response where you kind of keep hitting your own knee, and then you're triggered into the anger. Stop this. Okay, so first of all, it's to understand the role of reflexes and the fight or flight. So anger is usually sourced from a need to protect yourself from a threat, something that is going to take you, out of existence, or out of awareness, or out of relevancy, or out of relations. So there's a sphere of abandonment or loss or injustice that causes the anger. Now, we can only handle what is in the present moment. We cannot change the past. We need to take a non-linear perspective. So anger usually is along a trace, a linear, this causes this causes that, this causes this. So it's to let go of that cycle and realize that that is oftentimes sourced by that reptilian limbic resonance, as well as then supported by the ego. The ego is wanting. It's always like, seeking something. It is seeking for gratification. The ego will seek gratification through the release of anger. And it can be directed towards an individual, a source, what have you, a cause, but it is fueled from within and kept fueled by the ego, which is trying to get. And that is the source of suffering. So Freud was the first one who coined the id, which is like the child, it's the impulsive. And then the ego, which is that which is you experience most often in reality, which is what a lot of people equate with the I am. And then there's the super ego, the higher consciousness, which has sort of your higher order thinking. So we've done a lot of growth in identifying of states of consciousness. Of course, since Freud, we've evolved a lot in that area, but it's important to understand the relativity of the ego and its propensity to stay in anger, because it's trying to get recognition, get favors, get food, get shelter, get recognition, get admiration, get attention, get. It is a source of suffering because it's generally never satisfied. And you have to be aware of, in your culture, to what degree is your culture telling you to stay unsatisfied, dissatisfied. Get more hair, get bigger muscles, get a thinner waistline, get these shoes, get. To some position, if you constantly receive these messages, and you put yourself in a position where you're receiving a lot of these messages from people, etc., that you are not good enough, you need these shoes, you need this car, you need this jacket, whatever it is, even though you might have a car, a jacket, or whatever, shoes, whatever. The question is, do you still have your feet? Do you still have a roof? So you have to look at the role of the ego in keeping anger going, and the degree to which the anger is an addictive state, and the degree to which you want to say, I am not happy, I am not content in this egoic harbor state. And so you have to then realize it and then let it go, and let it go into the realm of the ego, and stop living in that egoic state where you're defining yourself by that hyper aroused and thinking that you are not good enough, that you don't have. So if you can understand that the role of the ego is that nature, let go of that role as it expresses itself within you. Stop grabbing, stop getting, stop pining, stop wishing, stop wanting for things to be different. This is a state of life. It's in a constant state of, hunger, satisfaction of hunger, tiredness, satisfaction of tiredness. So the ego, though, will keep that anger oftentimes, which is a very unsatisfied state. So it always feels like it needs more and more and more. And then you get more and more angry, or the more and more stuff, or the more and more fights. I think you get what I'm talking about. So knowing that to be the case, it's to release that which keeps that cycle going. A lot of people will not let go of anger because it's their shield. It's what they always hide behind, is that anger. It's which they use to deflect, and and try to stay at the source of what they feel is the cause, when oftentimes it's just fueled by someone who has conflict consciousness, etc. So it's to let go of your feeling of inadequacy, incompleteness that has been caused by this state. And it's to pull back and come within and realize that peace comes from within. It's not going to come from without. And until you can accept that, and that those heightened states of anger and hostility, are eventually going to be depleting and unsatisfactory living state, then you need to let go of that state. And you need to learn to be. B is in Bravo, E is in Echo. To just be. Stop grabbing, stop thinking, stop analyzing, stop paralyzing, stop wishing things to be different, because that is just going to keep that anger train going. And it takes a willingness to let that go, and to get in touch with that lever and that little notch within, and to just say stop, and to breathe through it, and to let it go and to stop that hyper arousal, stop that agitated state where you're walking fast, you're doing fast, you're multitasking, you're receiving all these messages, you're keeping the same thoughts going again and again. And then it's time to take a look and let it go, meaning stop grabbing. You can't simultaneously be angry and really be at peace. It's very difficult to be in one places at one time. So realize the role of the ego that's keeping this anger going, and the degree to which you're understanding that it takes, flight very quickly, and that it keeps you aroused in that I'm important, I've got a cause state, which is really replaced really for a meaningful purpose in your life that's above and beyond, that is really a larger cause, looking beyond the forest for the trees. And oftentimes you'll realize that you don't need all the anger that you think that you need. You can have a passion to replace it, which is the positive flip side of it. You have to alchemize that. And passion is something which you believe in, and a cause, bigger than, just one or two people, 1 or 2 days, etc. So getting in touch with your passion and focusing in on that. If you don't have your passion, then ask to be revealed what your passion is. Ask the question of the universe. The universe is there to answer your question. So, but you have to give it some time, and you have to get into a role of consistent prayer or meditation. You can research mindfulness meditation, you can play soothing music, but you need to cultivate and practice that state. Even if it's for 5 minutes, even if it's for 10 minutes, if you do it on the daily, your body will learn to recognize and enjoy that new state. But you have to get into that state, sitting down, turning off the lights, turning off the phone, turning off the TV, the computer, what have you, and just having a sacred space where you can go to. If you don't have a sacred space, then you need to create one where you can go and just be, and allow your thoughts to just come and go and to stop grabbing onto them until you can come to just a state of calm. And then know that your greatness is going to arise out of that calm, and not just that anger. It's going to come from that calm and that strength within. That is the foundation, that is the healthy field that has the nutrients, the fertilizer, the sun, and the rain that you need to bloom and have a fruitful existence. So learn to recognize, anger is like scorching. It's like scorching the earth. It's drying out, it's bleaching it of its nutrients. So I hope these videos and these discussions do help. Take the practice, understand the role of your protection, that shield. Begin to let it go and realize that you don't need to live in that defensive state. You need to understand why you are going to that state, what you're trying to protect yourself from, and realize that that is not doing the job for you. Peace and empowerment will do the job for you, and then being in touch with your passion and the positive cause will do the job for you. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out.